Paying rent can feel like a waste, especially when you can own something and start building wealth. But what if you live with somebody and you're not married? Should you go in on a property together with a roommate or a significant other? Is premarital escrow worth the risk? First things first. When practicing safe premarital escrow, you need to know this. I am not a lawyer. I cannot give legal advice, but when two people find a property that they love and they decide they want to share that property together, sometimes things can get messy, especially if after purchasing that property, they break up. They're no longer friends, or perhaps they just have different ventures that they want to explore. Should you just settle and rent? Or are there other ways to take advantage of owning property if you're not married? If you are considering buying a property with a significant other, a relative, a business partner, a friend, the very first thing you should do is consult a real estate attorney. And preferably a local one who's got a good reputation so you can make sure that you're getting sound advice. When you purchase a property, there are several different ways that you can take ownership. This is also known as tenancy. According to Merriam-Webster, tenancy is defined as a holding of an estate or mode of holding an estate. In real estate, there are several different types of tenancy and they all hold different applications. According to an article on trustandwill.com, you've got tenancy in common, joint tenancy with right of survivorship, tenancy in severalty, tenancy by entirety, community property with right of survivorship. Since I am not an attorney and I look terrible in orange jumpsuits, I cannot deep dive into what each of these types of tenancy is and which is the best application for your circumstance. That would be giving legal advice. I'm not an attorney. Have I mentioned that? But what I can say is that it is imperative if you are thinking of purchasing a property with someone who is not your spouse that you seek the advice of a real estate attorney. In addition to guiding you into the right type of tenancy when you buy the property, they can also draft up an agreement between you and all the parties to decide what happens when one person wants to sell or if the parties split. The best time to decide how to break up is when you're still happy together. So have the attorney go over what happens if you break up, you get a divorce, somebody passes away, a business partner decides that they want to go into a different venture. Figure these things out before the split, before the family feud, before the blow-up fight. Having the tough conversations up front and going through the different hypotheticals is so much easier at the beginning than when things get tough and perhaps you're feeling more vulnerable. If it's in black and white and it's been drafted by a legal professional, that takes all the guesswork out if something arises. Also, just a reminder, not an attorney, but hopefully a real estate professional who has given you some good food for thought so that you and your partner can live happily ever after. In any situation, buying a property is a huge deal, and you always want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So in an effort to provide yourself the best protection, make sure you've got a really good attorney. And there's so much more to buying property than just figuring out the way to take title and ownership. In fact, there are some hidden costs that you may not be thinking of. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.